What's going on, everyone? So yesterday we got confirmation that D'Angelo Russell will be the starting point guard. And it looks like Austin Reeves, Dilo, LeBron, and AD will very likely be the starting four guys. There's talks about Rui Hachimura. Do they go with Christian Wood and move AD to the four? Personally, these are just me. I think that the Lakers should go with Jared Vanderbilt. I've said that. I know. I'm sure some of you are like, yeah, we get it. But I do. I think that that makes the most sense. You have your two best shooters, your two best playmakers, not named LeBron James. And you have LeBron James, who basically can do everything. And then you have Anthony Davis, who's the best defense player on the planet. And you have enough offense between AD, LeBron, Reeves, and D'Lo. The one thing you don't have is that point of attack defensive guy and that elite level perimeter defender, which Jared Vanderbilt can provide. Now, there is an argument the other way with Rui, where last season you saw a lot the Lakers starting off slow offensively and then kind of having to play a little bit of catch up. But two reasons I think that that won't be a factor this season is one, got to remember they only played like 8 games together going into the playoffs. So there was a lot of just like miscommunications and miscues and just like, LeBron also was not able to shoot the ball that season. So he was just jacking up a bunch of stuff. Hopefully, if he does do that, his shot's at least falling. Otherwise, hopefully they have better chemistry and better just team aspect, right? Also, Anthony Davis, I expect to kind of be more of a dominant force. And I think Jared Vanderbilt will be improved from that corner three. I'm not saying he's going to be elite and shooting 38% or anything like that, but he's been working like a madman to do that. And I imagine that you're going to see some translation of that on the basketball court. I think that with that, you can get away with Rui not being on the court. I also fear that Rui will just kind of be tucked away as like a 3-and-D guy, which at that point, you might as well go with Jared Vanderbilt. I don't think it makes any sense to go with Rui unless you're going to actually utilize him offensively. That way he can come off the bench and be a primary offensive weapon off the bench. That's kind of the approach. Otherwise, I guess you could go with Christian Wood and have AD at the 4, but then you got to have LeBron at 3. I think Vando makes the most sense. But here's the thing. Did the Lakers get it right with Dilo and Austin Reeves as like your starting backcourt? Personally, I think yes. I think you need to keep the continuity. I think that, again, everything that I mentioned, but I also think D'Lo is outside of Austin Reeves, LeBron, AD, and maybe Wood, our best player, right? He's our best playmaker, not named LeBron James. He shot the best percentage that he's done for his career, played really good off the ball last year. The one liability is him defensively, but at least he tried, right? And I get it, trying and actually doing are two different things, but he like never tried anywhere else. So, and he has the tools and intangibles to actually not even be a great defender or anything like that, but just serviceable. And I'm hoping that that's kind of something that he buys into this season. But it's not always about me, in my opinion. As always, I want to hear discussions and I want to hear conversations and I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. So let's kind of run through it here. Now, Austin Reeves wants to be on the ball more. He wants to be the point guard more. The Lakers have publicly said that they want to give him the opportunity to do that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have D'Lo on the court with him, because D'Lo, again, played so well off of the basketball. And I've even suggested, and I still really kind of like this idea, that they should make D'Lo just a scorer, right? Now, I get D'Lo has been a scorer, but let him just solely focus. Like, give him the green light. Instead of him going and getting 17 and trying to get 6 to 8 assists, don't worry about the assists. If you're on the court with Reeves and LeBron, go get buckets. If it's just you and like the bench unit or whatever, or you and the other starters, not named LeBron and Reeves, and then a couple bench guys, then yeah, go be the playmaker, go make plays. But if Reeves is on the court and LeBron is on the court, your job is to just go get 25, right? Be a 25 a game guy, right? And really challenge him to do that, which I do think with the efficiency in which he shot, he's capable of doing that. Maybe not 25, but could he get to, 23. That's only 2 more threes or 3 more baskets. Like, that's not that far-fetched to think. And he probably would have been close to that last year if he was a better free throw shooter. He struggled with us from the free throw line, which was crazy because he's always been a really good free throw shooter. But I think if you kind of have him be that scorer, then that takes a lot of pressure. But regardless, there are other options that could maybe make more sense as far as like establishing a lead and then kind of allowing the weather. And having Dilo off the bench as that playmaker, as that scorer, does make a lot of sense, right? Imagine a bench of like, you know, a Dilo, Prince, Reddish, Wood, and Rui or something like that, right? Like that would be pretty good, right? You'd have a good balance still of like offense. You go get buckets. Like you have a solid group either way. And there's definitely arguments across the board for somebody to step into the starting unit. But you could move Reeves to the point guard, or you could keep him at the 2 and go with like a Gabe Vincent, right? That was a real conversation. Gabe Vincent as like a 3-and-D style point guard makes more sense. He fits better. Especially he's kind of been the guy in the mold of successful point guards along LeBron James. You know, think of like Avery Bradley, George Hill, Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers. Like guys like that have always had success alongside LeBron because the ball's so heavily in LeBron's hands. Now, LeBron says he doesn't want that as much anymore because he's older now. He doesn't want that wear and tear. Also, we did see him kind of take a step back and be more willing to let Reeves run the show or let Dilo run the show, things like that. But how much of that was due to injury and how much of that is actually him willing to do that? Now, if he's going to be on the ball heavily and the ball's always going to have to go through him before anything happens, then there is an argument for Gabe Vincent, right? Now, if Gabe Vincent shoots like he did in the regular season last year, then yeah, that makes no sense. If he can kind of get back to the way he was in the playoffs, which he's done that for a full year before, and be that 38 to 39% three-point shooter, now you're talking like, okay, now you're going to be better defensively in the starting unit, and you still don't lose that three-point shooting and scoring. Yeah, you don't have a guy that can go give you 17 and basically be a 3-level scorer, but you'd have Reeves, you'd have LeBron, and you'd have AD. And then maybe if you go with Vincent, you could go with like a Rui Hachimura, although I'd probably still lean Jared Vanderbilt personally, and just kind of really lock in defensively and hope Gabe Vincent and Vando both can improve their three-point shooting from last year. At least experiment with that. But I mean, there is an argument to be made for Gabe Vincent. Also, Gabe Vincent as the primary backup point guard, there is concerns about him and his lack of playmaking, right? Like Dilo, again, is an excellent playmaker, right? He loves and thrives on it. He's talked about it repeatedly, and he likes to get other guys going and get other guys involved, and he's kind of this hype man and stuff when guys are doing that. Where Gabe Vincent, he struggles at times. He can turn the ball over quite a bit, and he's not a guy that you can, really count on to run an efficient offense, right? Even with Miami, he wasn't on the ball. He'd kind of just bring the ball up, but he averaged almost as many turnovers as he did assists. Like, it was pretty bad. So that kind of becomes a concern, but in a backup role, you can kind of get away with that. But if he's in the starting unit with Austin Reeves and LeBron James, they're very likely the guys that are running the actual offense, and then Gabe Vincent's just kind of playing off the ball in a role that he's comfortable with, just having the green light to just jack up threes when he gets it. So I do think that there's an argument there. Next up, maybe you go, like I said, with a, Austin Reeves at the point, and you kind of allow him to be your starting point guard, and then go with like a Taurean Prince. I really like the Taurean Prince idea more than the Gabe Vincent idea, because Taurean Prince gives you that versatile defender that can guard basically 1 through 4. I mean, he's not super quick. Like, you don't want him guarding like, Ja or anything like that. But, in a spot, if he got switched on the guy, he can hold his own, right? He can guard 1 through 4 on any possession or anything like that. So it gives you some versatility there on the defensive side and gives you a guy that can knock down at a 39% clip. That's valuable. a guy that will play within any offense, a legit 3-and-D style guy, a guy that can keep the ball moving, keep everything swinging, and just would fit beautifully next to an Austin Reeves and a LeBron James. Then, like I said, you could go with the Jared Vanderbilt, and you'd be really good defensively, right? Because again, you'd basically be able to switch 1 through 5 at that point, right? I mean, obviously you don't want Austin Reeves matched up against Jokic, but you get the point. Like if you had to like switch, you could just kind of switch everything, and you be in a pretty good spot. So I don't hate that idea. I actually kind of like that idea more. Now there's also an argument for guys like, maybe a Cam Reddish, add a little athleticism, elite defense, again, can guard 1 through 4. He's been a really good defender and has some really good defensive stats. Also, he's a guy that can just go get a bucket if you need him to. Problem is, he's not really a great three-point shooter, so that would be a big problem. And I actually think the Lakers are going to be pretty solid defensively. I don't think they're going to be top 5 or anything like that in the league, but I don't think they're going to be, what were they, like 26th or 27th last year? I think they'll probably be middle of the pack, if I'm being honest, because they have several legit three-point shooting guys, right? Again, you have Reeves, Dilo, you have Taurean Prince, you have Cam Reddish. If Gabe Vincent can get back to being 38, 39%, then there's him, right? And then can AD kind of find his stroke? And if LeBron can get back to his, 36% or whatever, then now you're talking like we could probably be around 36%, 37% from 3, which would put us around the middle of the pack, right? So that's kind of my hope. But honestly, like I mentioned earlier, I think you go with Dilo, right? I think you go with Dilo, Reeves, Vando, LeBron, and AD. Keep the continuity. Keep the team or the starting unit that led you to a Western Conference Finals. They're proven in a limited sample size of, a quarter season. They were able to get to the Western Conference Finals. Like, what does that look like under a full season with a full training camp, a full preseason? Like, I just think that gives you the best balance, the best versatility. I think, again, offensively to start games, I think they'll be much better because guys will have better chemistry. They'll have better sets. I'm sure they'll actually have some plays where it's kind of hard to run plays and operate when guys haven't played together, right? And so you're just kind of throwing them out there and telling them to play basketball and figure it out, right? Or now you can actually run sets and find ways to get AD the ball. Also, the biggest reason I like Dilo in the starting unit is he was one of the only people that actively tried to get Anthony Davis the basketball. Like more so than LeBron, more so than Reeves, more so than anybody. Like Dilo actually tried to get AD the basketball to a point where sometimes it was to his detriment, right? Like it would cost a turnover or whatever because he's trying to force it down to AD. But I appreciate him trying to get your best player the basketball. Like how many times did we see Anthony Davis just not even touch the ball in the fourth quarter? It was like, what is going on here? Right? Like, but Dilo was that guy. And also one of the best plays in all of basketball was the Dilo Anthony Davis pick and roll. And even like Dilo and LeBron pick and roll was really good. So the one issue with Dilo is just the defense. But I think if you have Jared Vanderbilt, you have Anthony Davis, you have Austin Reeves, who's serviceable enough defensively. He's good, not great, but he's good enough to hold his own. Dilo actually trying to be effective defensively. And then LeBron, we'll see. Because there's times where he's just locked down defense, and then for the most part, he's just kind of coasting out there, which is fine. At this stage of his career, I'm not really knocking him for it, but especially in closeouts, hopefully he kind of locks in. But I just think it's the right call. I mean, I've talked about this numerous times. Now we got the confirmation. But do you feel the same way? Again, just conversation. Just wanted to talk to you guys. Hear your thoughts and opinions. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you agree? Would you rather go with somebody else? How do you feel? Let me know down in the comments.